Welcome, lady friends. What's up? It's your girl here, Olivia, international life and business coach. If you're a creative and ambitious woman who wants to have breakthroughs not only in your business, your bank account, but also your brain, then this is the podcast for you, girlfriend. Get ready to rock your online business, master your social media presence, and monetize your passion from your mobile. Woo! It's time to elegantly strap on those lady balls and jump in. Are you ready to start slaying your side hustle? If so, then join me. Let's get started. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast episode. It is a beautiful Sunday morning, nice and early. It's a little bit crisp outside. And I wanted to jump on and answer two questions that I received from a woman called Laura from Belle River in Canada.
Where did you do your life coach training? Did you do it through the Tony Robbins coaching program or maybe somewhere else? Currently, I don't really have enough money perhaps to do the Tony Robbins one, but I was looking at maybe free programs just to kind of get an idea. But eventually I want to maybe pay for a good life coach training and get my certificate. How do you not run out of breath? Like when you're doing a podcast, do you have certain breathing techniques or certain things that you do so you're always speaking but you have a pause? That's something that's very interesting to me because you have to maybe talk for like 10 or 20 minutes and it's crazy how you can, still say a lot but not run out of breath.
Thank you, Laura, for your lovely questions. I'm going to delve into the second one first because it doesn't take as much information. And then I'm going to talk about how I became a life coach, the story behind how I became a life coach, and what I would recommend to people from here on out. So the first thing, how do I not run out of breath on a podcast? Well, let me tell you, I have an editor. Editors can work wonders and can make you sound very professional, but let's be real and be honest here. When I do record a podcast episode, sometimes my mouth gets a bit dry and I've got to drink a little bit of water. Sometimes I take breaks. Sometimes I'm getting back to my notes and just making sure I'm up to date with what I'm actually talking about. Otherwise, I can completely go off track or my mind goes blank. So the answer is get an editor. In terms of breathing techniques, the only thing I can suggest is just take breaks in between when you talk, pretty much. Like I can't talk nonstop for 30 minutes, even though it might sound that way on my podcast. But I do take breaks, in between, and it actually helps the editor as well. So there's no special tricky technique, it's just good editing. The second question, where did I do my life coaching course and was it through Tony Robbins? So no, I did not do my life coaching certification through Tony Robbins. I actually did it through a school in Sydney, Australia, mostly by distance or like a tele course, I suppose you'd say, and I did do some face-to-face training. So what I'm going to talk about is my story, how I got into life coaching, and then, it's a very contentious, controversial issue about whether someone should become certified or not to be a coach. And what I've decided to do is instead of give you guys all my opinions, I think everyone's journey is so different. I'm going to present both sides to the coin and you can decide what's right for you because I'm not here to tell you what's right for you. I'm just here to give you the information and you can make your own mind up about it. So congratulations on thinking about becoming a life coach. And if you've taken the time to listen to this episode, you probably do actually want to learn about how to become one, or you're just a really curious cat. So this is a question I get asked all of the time. Olivia, how do I become a life coach? How did you become a life coach? Should I get a certification? Should I not? What's the go? And firstly, I just want to say also is thank you for sending this audio question through to me, Laura, because this is something that I want to start doing more and more on my podcast. I do receive a lot of audio questions from people, strangers, people I know, clients, and I'm going to start integrating them into episodes and building episodes around them because I do hear these questions quite a lot. So if you've got a question, if you're a listener, you've got a question around coaching, entrepreneurialism, or especially podcasting, then feel free to send me your audio message via Facebook Messenger to be featured. Just include your name, where you live, and what your question is, and I will let you know when it's up live and running. And not just that, but it's all about showing up and serving you guys. I want to give back to you people. I wouldn't be here where I am now in my business and my podcast if it wasn't for other people that were giving, a lot of high value, free information as well, by the way. So it's one of those full circle moments in life where you can give back. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. So I started my life coaching certification back in 2018. I think it was February actually, and I've officially become certified this year. I think it was February as well. Now, with my particular course, you could finish it in 6 months if you wanted to, and that was always my plan. But things changed as I started doing the course, and there's little certifications that you can get throughout the diploma, which I've done. And they really highly encouraged all of us to start our business after we got our first certificate, because otherwise we get stuck in that training loop of we don't know enough, we're not good enough. You know, we need to know more and learn more and be more knowledgeable before we can actually take on paying clients. And so I was probably that, 1 to 5% of the class who actually did what they said, and I built my business before I became officially certified. So my perspective on this might be a little bit unique, so just take that in consideration. But I'm more than happy to share my journey with you and be in a complete open book about how things worked for me. And once again, you can decide what's right for you. So just to give you a quick little, overview, in terms of statistics, as of April 14, 2020, so this year, Google says that there's actually at least 20,000 certified coaches worldwide through the ICF. And the ICF is the International Coaching Federation. So it's kind of like, the pinnacle or the regulating body, I suppose you'd say, of coaching. So the number is only growing each year, and there are more and more people getting called into coaching and feeling more attracted to the idea and the notion of, being a coach and running their own business and helping other people in a very deep and meaningful way, and also getting paid to do what you love. However, there actually aren't a lot of successful coaches that are doing this, right? Like there's heaps of people with certifications that actually don't do anything with their coaching credentials or coaching experience. They never actually apply that theory to practice, So just keep that in mind, because if you need evidence of successful coaches, you need to go out and look for them. And if you're not sure where to look, feel free to message me and I can point you in the right direction. I know a lot of successful coaches who have not only side hustled successfully, they've also replaced their corporate or their day job income. I know successful 6-figure coaches, 7-figure coaches who are traveling the world from their laptops, building freedom for their families, retiring their husbands, that sort of stuff. It actually is possible. And the opportunities for yourself in coaching are endless. And it is a growing industry, and it's only going to get more and more big. And there are actually celebrities that are hiring life coaches because they see the benefits and they know that it's advantageous to have a life coach. So I just want to say as well is my thoughts on the matter have changed. So when I first came into the coaching school and the coaching world, their point of difference to just any other coach out there was that they did have, or they were affiliated with the ICF, the International Coaching Federation. And you guys can Google that too if you want to learn a bit more about it. I will supply the website link in the show notes. So you've just got to scroll down, click the link, and it'll take you through to this official website. But my thoughts on the matter have changed, because when I first went to the school, they were saying that, everyone really should be certified because it's not a government regulated sort of profession and all this sort of stuff. And I get where they're coming from. I really do. However, over time, my thoughts have changed. And it's funny because I actually made a YouTube video about how I was so strong and for and pro credentialing to be a coach, rather than just taking a 2-day free training and all of a sudden calling yourself a coach. However, since then, I've actually met a lot of coaches that aren't certified, and they have successful businesses and they are getting people results and they are doing really well and doing amazing work in the world. So I don't want you to get trapped into thinking that you have to be certified to be a coach. There are a lot of people out there who are doing a great job at coaching. They just don't have that little piece of paper, paying thousands of dollars for that little piece of paper, because they've learned their experience and their skills from other people through other coaches that they've invested in, instead of buying, or I suppose purchasing that little piece of paper to say that they can be a coach, if that makes sense. Also, take in mind that the term life coach, it's a weird terminology because it often gets misinterpreted. It doesn't mean that you're an expert in every single area of life and you're a guru and everyone should bow down to you. That is not what a life coach is. How arrogant would that be if, you called yourself a life coach and you thought you're an expert on life? No one is really an expert on life. We're all doing the best that we can. We all have different inner wisdoms and worldviews and all this sort of stuff that we can actually help others with as well. But essentially what a life coach is they're just a catalyst or a facilitator for change and shifting and transforming someone else, helping them tap into their inner wisdom, discovering what is right for them and what answers are right for them, not necessarily what's right for you. You're not actually telling people how to live or what to do. You're helping them discover that for themselves. You are just the mirror and sometimes the sounding board to help that person figure their shit out, so to speak. Also, life coaching is very different to being a counselor, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and a mentor and a consultant, right? They're all different roles. For me personally, I've decided to become a mentor as well as a life coach because I find that both of those skills are really essential when it comes to building a business. Because yes, it's important to tap into your own inner wisdom and help other people to do the same. But at the same time, we don't know what we don't know. Yeah. We don't know something until we learn something. And so that's what I try to provide in my business as well, is helping people see things they didn't see before and teaching them something new so they can have a new way of being as well. So let me share my story. So basically back in 2018, I was in the midst of a quarter life crisis. And I was feeling like I had a lot of voids to fill. I felt very unfulfilled with where I was in my life. I'd gone through a relationship breakdown with my ex-fiance at the time. I was going through a legal battle. I realized that working as a full-time shift worker wasn't working for me in, a health sense, but also a mental health sense. I was feeling very unfulfilled and a little bit lied to by the university system, saying that you could travel the world and it'd be extremely fulfilling and all that sort of stuff. And on one hand, yes, they're right. On the other hand, they didn't tell me all about, working all the public holidays and missing Christmases with your family and, having days to recover after 4 night shifts in a row and missing out on, your younger years. I suppose you'd say, well, your friends are out clubbing and going out, right? So for me, I was feeling very upset by all of that. And I did love helping people. Like being a nurse and a midwife was extremely fulfilling in that sense. Like I really felt like I was making a difference in the world somewhat, but not in the way that I really wanted to. Not in the very deep, meaningful, emotional, fundamental way that I knew that I wanted to work with people on. My career had become very task orientated because, the healthcare system is very busy. It's overloaded. There's a lot to manage, and sometimes it's just trying to do the bare minimum to get through. Do you know what I mean? Because you have so many patients and your workload is so high. However, I was really drawn to helping people work through their emotions of finding out that they had a terminal illness or they'd lost a baby and they were trying to work through that sort of stuff. That was the sort of stuff that I felt really drawn to, the underlying feelings, thoughts, and behaviors of people. And so when I discovered life coaching, I fell in love with this world. I fell in love with our magnificent minds and how we work and what drives us and what impacts us and all things human behavior and psychology. It's fascinating. So I remember hearing about life coaching back in high school. I never really looked into what it was. I did do some psychology units at high school in Melbourne. You can do that in that particular state, not always around all of Australia. And I loved it. And I honestly don't know why I didn't pursue that further. And going to life coaching at the time, but obviously I wasn't meant to do that. So I discovered a podcast, right? Podcasting is what actually got me into life coaching, which is kind of funny. At the time, I was part of a network marketing company called Senegens International, and I was following one of the head, we call them crown princesses. She was one of the head top sellers in the company. She had $1 million team, and I was watching her on Instagram one day, and she had a snapshot of a book that she was reading, and then she was talking about this podcast she listened to. And I'd never listened to a podcast in my life. I didn't even really know what a podcast was, but I thought, hey, if she's doing it, she's probably onto something. I should probably do that too. And so I looked up this podcast called Style Your Mind, and it was by a podcast host called Cara Elwill-Labour, and she was a life coach. And when I heard that in her intro, a little spark went off in my brain, and I thought, oh my gosh, a life coach. What is a life coach again? And the obsession started from there. I started Googling things. I started watching YouTube videos. I was obsessed from the moment that I heard that term because I was searching for something. I was searching for fulfillment. I was feeling very lost. As I said, I was going through a quarter life crisis. I was wanting to know what my next step was, and my brain was searching for answers. And when I heard this and the way that her podcast made me feel, it just sent me down the rabbit hole. You know how it can be. And this particular day, I remember I was working for a mining company as an occupational health nurse, still doing a bit of shift work. And I was supposed to go do my first aid certificate. And the whole time that I was driving there, I was listening to this podcast and I was searching YouTube videos about life coaching. And I just, the obsession had started. And I honestly had started binging these podcast episodes like watching Netflix. You know how you binge Netflix episodes? It was the exact same thing with this podcast. I couldn't stop obsessively thinking about it. I'd become completely consumed. And basically I was counting down the time until I got my first lunch break because I was desperate to go Google the closest life coaching school in my area so that I could call up and inquire. And that's exactly what I did. And I remember after the training day, I was so not I was so not mentally present that day. I was thinking about life coaching and putting all these puzzle pieces together, and I felt super excited for the first time in months. And I called up the life coaching college in Sydney. I spoke to this wonderful woman, this administrator lady. She was so understanding of where I was at, and she was a fan of Tony Robbins and all these inspirational personal development people. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have to go to the welcome day. And a few months later, that's what I did. I attended the welcome day, and once again, that changed everything for me. The welcome day was 2 hours away, so I had to drive to Sydney from Newcastle from where I lived. I travelled down, I stayed with my dad for the night because it was, I think, a 1 or 2 day thing. And I walked into the room feeling completely expansive, euphoric, and at home all at the same time. It was very bizarre. There was this beautiful song playing, What a Wonderful World, right? So that was playing in the background, and there was these journals on the tables all about following your dreams and this sort of stuff. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so in the right place right now. And there was about 20 people that rocked up and attended the welcome day, and we were all surrounded by the hustle and bustle of Sydney because we were in a hotel meeting room, basically. So for me, I knew that I didn't want to go back to university and spend many more years and many more thousands of dollars on, an education. I'd already had 2 degrees, an undergraduate and a postgraduate. I had considered becoming a doctor or doing my PhD and going into academia or research or becoming a university professor or something along those lines. But there was something inside of me that was telling me that that just wasn't right for me either. I just didn't want to feel stifled and like I had to fit into a system. I was really looking for that freedom. And that was the thing that I just couldn't seem to shake. I'd already done 6.5 years at uni of intense study. One of those degrees was the hardest thing I've done in my life. It was very, very challenging. And then it's like $30,000, worth of HEX debt later, AUD, because it's Australian money, just to put into perspective for you. So I knew that I wanted something that was going to work with my lifestyle, that was going to work with my learning style, and also my budget, So this kind of relates back to Laura's question. She's like, budget's an issue. So I understand that because I was in that space as well. And I knew that I didn't want to take on another huge commitment that was going to be a full-on degree. So this kind of fitted all my criteria, and I opted for a payment plan because I just didn't have the $6,000 or $7,000 AUD to pay up front at the time. I was still finishing paying off my HEX debt. And what I loved about this course was you could do it at your own pace. So the payment plan was for over 2 years. I wanted to do it in 6 months, but as I said, it changed for me, which is totally fine. It was meant to happen the way that it did, and I'm glad that it did happen because it was a great learning for me. But it was great. I just watched the online modules. I answered the questions. There was no big tests or assignments, which was wonderful because I've never been one that's loved those things. Assignments over tests every day for sure. And by the way, guys, I didn't really know how all of this was going to happen or how this was going to work. I had no real idea what life coaching absolutely fundamentally was. I just knew that I had an interest in it, and I had an interest in starting my own business and running my own business and having that freedom for myself. I didn't know what the future looked like. I didn't know all of the details. I didn't know the ins and outs. And by the way, I'm usually a woman with a very clear plan. I always know what my next step is. I always know what's coming, or I thought I did, but I was in a place of my life where I didn't know what the future held for me. And all I could do at the time was follow my gut, follow my intuition, and follow my curiosity. And it led me to the right place. Sometimes you've just got to follow your heart, follow what feels good to you, and follow your bliss. And life coaching truly did change my life forever. It changed the trajectory of my life and my career, and it changed me as a person fundamentally. And this is another reason why some people do life coaching courses, is not just to become a life coach and start a business, but also because they want like a really amazing self-development journey. And we all go on that when we do our life coaching diplomas or certifications. Now, I just want to preface this with saying that studying life coaching was a wonderful starting point. It was a great introduction into the coaching world and entrepreneurialism and all that sort of stuff. It definitely gave me skills and knowledge that I could apply. It taught me to be a better person, a better listener, a better observer. And it taught me so much about myself and so much about the life coaching process, and even how to ask crafty, powerful questioning to help people uncover what's really going on under the surface. It helped me to learn and actively listen for things that people might not have been aware of themselves consciously, or not ready to fully admit to themselves or to someone else. The power of linguistic language is incredible, and getting to the truth of a situation very quickly, because some people just can't get to it themselves sometimes, or they're not aware what's actually beneath the surface. And so your job as a coach is to pull that out of them and make them aware of it, help them acknowledge it, and then reconstruct it from there so that it serves them. Because what people can tend to do is dance around the issue, or they might give you little clues, but they don't give everything completely upfront. And a good coach will pick up on those cues and follow that path further and work with where they're at, basically. They identify the issue, they laser in on it, they ask the right question to uncover it, that fundamental underlying belief or pattern that is holding them back, keeping them stuck, making them feel disempowered or it's not serving them. And as a coach, you help them get to the ultimate solution for themselves. And there's lots of different areas of coaching you can go into, guys. Life coaching is just like the general sense of the word, but you can go into sports psychology coaching, you can go into kids coaching, you can go into spiritual coaching and manifestation, you can go into identity coaching and shifting, you can go into business coaching and even corporate career coaching, for example, or executive coaching, financial coaching, what else? Improving relationships with yourself and others. Like there's so many different areas of coaching. It's unbelievable. Like the options are endless, honestly. What I would recommend is that if you are wanting to do a certification or some sort of life coaching training to get some credentials, please hear me out on this. Just do the bare minimum training to begin with. And then if you like it and it feels right to you and you enjoy it, then upskill from there. Because I know so many people who started the same course that I did, but they decided to do their master's, which is an extra thing on top of the diploma, but they haven't actually done anything with their master's or their diploma, right? So usually when you start with a class of like, just say 20 people, there's usually only maybe like 1 to 5 that actually do anything from their certification, that actually have a return on their investment because they go out and start that business and attract paying clients and make the business work and it takes off and all that sort of stuff, right? They have that return of investment. But a lot of people don't, right? And I really do think that the key to that is actually having your own coach once you've finished your certification through your life coaching school or college or training facility. Because even though the school is really good at teaching you the skills and knowledge and stuff that you need to be a coach or a life coach, it's really when you get your own coach that works with you one-on-one that can help you apply everything, apply it to practice, apply it to business. And they're the ones that teach you how to run a business, like really efficiently, really properly, and for your personalized and individualistic needs, because everyone's business is so different, even if they are a life coach. Because some people will want to become an author, some people will want to do a YouTube channel, some will not want to do programs and only do one-to-one coaching. Like there's a lot of different factors that go into it. So everyone's needs are so different in business. And when you go through a coaching school, they teach everyone on a mass scale, on a mass level, and they do the best that they can, trying to get around to each person. But it's not until you have that one-to-one attention and focus from another coach that's when things really get going for you. So if you have done your life coaching certification already, but you're not getting the results that you want, you're not getting the money or like the income or the profit, you're not feeling like you're making that fundamental difference, you're having trouble with actually implementing your skills, get your own business coach. Let them help you laser in and, unfold all of this for you and push you forward and keep you accountable to get that result that you do want in your business, that you're aching for and desiring, rather than spinning your wheels trying to do it all yourself and wondering why this isn't working. So I suggest do the very bare minimum qualifications and then continue along the path if it feels right to you and upskill from there and do more training and learnings if that's what you want to do. But I really think it's important to master the basics first and then move on from there. And that's what I did, right? I just did the diploma. I didn't do my master's. I didn't go on and do anything spectacular from here on out. I might one day, probably will. I don't know. I love this area of coaching. It's great. So I probably will do that. But just keep that in mind that you don't have to it doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. Like I've got to have the best of the best or I'm not going to do it at all. Dip your toes in the water, make sure that it's right for you, and then master those basics and those skills and then take it from there. Otherwise, you'll turn into one of those people that have spent a crap load of money on a master's that you're not actually going to use, right? Because everyone gets stuck into that mindset of I need to know more, I need to pay more to know more, I'm not experienced enough. And the reason why they're not experienced enough is because they didn't jump in when they felt uncomfortable. They didn't start before they were ready. And that's what I did. I started before I was ready. And that's why I was able to build a profitable business before I actually got that piece of paper sent through the mail. When I got that piece of paper, it was a great feeling, but I was kind of like, oh yeah, I'm already a coach. Like I already stepped into that identity of being a coach. It was just that little piece of paper confirmation that came through, and it didn't really mean as much as what I thought it was going to mean, because I'd already embodied and I'd already become that person before that had come through, like a year plus before, right? And in terms of, doing your certification, once again, it's totally up to you. There's no right or wrong way, in my opinion, as long as you know what you're doing. It's kind of like, I think about it like this, right? If you're a brain surgeon or a lawyer, then you're going to need a qualification. right? You just can't come off the street and then do brain surgery on someone. It doesn't work that well. You can, but you'd definitely get sued and probably go to jail for it, let's be honest. And being a lawyer, you probably wouldn't be a very good one because you wouldn't know the ins and outs of all the different, areas of law and whatnot, right? So you actually need that. You have to have those degrees. That's essential. You can't do those roles without those things, yeah? But life coaching and coaching is a little bit different. As I said, I know fantastic coaches that don't have any certifications and they've learned everything through their own coach or multiple coaches, and they've applied all of that stuff and it's worked. They've gotten people results, and that's what people really care about. We get too focused and fixated on qualifications and credentialing. It's like, oh, if I don't have my actual certification, people aren't going to take me seriously. But they don't really care about that. They just want to know if you can actually help them and get them the result that they want. I once again bring it back to Tony Robbins and Matthew Hussey. Tony Robbins was basically the first unofficial life coach on a famous, really well-known global level. He hasn't got qualifications. He literally just threw some spaghetti at the wall and saw what stuck, He was able to get people results because he trialed and errored things. He gave things a go. He saw what worked and he built upon that. He used lots of reflection and he upskilled from there, right? Through actually doing the thing, not learning more and learning more and learning more from someone else. He actually put it into practice and learnt from there. And then he built this crazy, incredible empire. And he gets people results. And you think about Matthew Hussey. If you don't know who Matthew Hussey is, look him up on YouTube. He's amazing. I found him when I was single, when I was nearly single, when I forgot how to flirt and all this sort of stuff and how to be attractive and, step into my feminine self and all this. He really helped me when I was back in the dating scene. And he's one of the most well-known dating coaches worldwide. He's helped celebrities like Eva Longoria and heaps more, runs retreats annually to everyone around the world. And he doesn't have a qualification, guys. He's built a multi-million-dollar business because he knows how the male brain works. He knows how he can help females in the dating scene. He started out helping males to begin with, just side note. But look at him now, he's genuine. He's overqualified in a sense, without actually having any credentialing and certification. He knows how to get people results. He knows how to help people in a very deep and fundamental and a transitioning way. But I do want to say you do need to know what you're doing, right? So I'm not saying don't get a certification or a credential and just go out and wing it. Like, you are dealing with people's emotions and thoughts and values and belief systems. So it is fundamentally important that you know what you're doing with them. So if you don't have any experience at all, you don't know what you're doing, then go find out, go get that certification through that local school that's, associated with the ICF. Or hire that business coach who can teach you everything that they know. So you do have some confidence and some competence in actually managing and handling people in the right way. The other thing I want to say is, if you are thinking about, there's a difference between taking on freebie information around life coaching, and then there's a completely different level when you decide to invest in becoming a life coach yourself, right? The people that do all the free trainings and all this sort of stuff, it's great, but it's the people that invest that are really committed to this, so you can work within your budget. You can find something, and once again, just ask around, because the coaching world, it is growing. It is actually quite a big world out there, because there are a lot of uncertified coaches out there that can help you. So I think the most important takeaway with this as well is, don't be scared to invest in yourself. Don't be scared to invest in your mind and your abilities and your experience and your knowledge base, and your skill base. Don't be scared to invest, you get what you pay for. If you're someone that's willing to put some money down on the table and actually learn to become a life coach and actually pay for that, you're going to value that so much more than someone that just gets it for free. Yeah, it's kind of like, have you ever gotten something for free and you're like, oh, thank you so much. And then it's like, yeah, I'll get around to it later. And then you never do. As opposed to when you buy something yourself, you value it because you've spent your own money on it. You've worked for that money. And it's like, yeah, I better actually read that book or something now, right? Because it's like, I paid for that out of my own pocket. I don't want to waste that money. So it's the same sort of thing when you think about becoming a life coach, is invest in your own coach, invest in a school, whatever it is that you can. Make sure you put some money down, because you will take it more seriously, and you will. If you're called to do this, of course, because there are people that won't. But if you're feeling like life coaching is for you, you have that intuitive nudge, you have that calling, and you're drawn to it and you're interested and curious in it, then chances are you might actually be really suitable to become a life coach. So you can look up the ICF website and see what schools or colleges or courses, teaching programs that are close to you that are affiliated with them. And start to embody the fact that you are becoming a life coach. Yeah, like I know a lot of people can suffer from imposter syndrome when they're considering becoming a coach. They're like, oh, I can't tell people that I'm a life coach. That sounds so wankery. But it's usually because people don't understand what a life coach is. So instead of telling them that you're a life coach, what you can do is actually tell them what you do. So instead of saying, hey, I'm Olivia, I'm a life coach, and that person opposite you is thinking, oh, great, whoopee-doo, like what does that mean? You can actually say, about what it is you do instead. So for me, I just say, I help female entrepreneurs build their online businesses or start their podcasts. And they're kind of like, oh yeah, because it's a tangible outcome. They know what you do then, and it's not as confronting. And so you can actually step further into that version of you as well. It can take a little while to get used to saying, I'm a life coach, or I'm a business coach, or I'm a financial coach, or I'm this, that, or the other. And it's scary and exciting at the same time, but this is the new version of you. Yeah, regardless of what certification you do or don't do, it's about stepping into that version of you that is a coach. Now, just in regards to the ICF accreditation, it is the only recognized professional coaching accreditation worldwide. This is the organization that governs life coaching. And I should just preface this by saying that life coaching is not governed by the government yet. It hasn't got a crap load of red tape yet. Maybe one day that'll change. I'm not too sure. I think that it probably will. But there's no actual legitimate official government regulation or oversight at the state or federal level. So anyone can become a life coach or call themselves one. This can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing, as I've said before. If you don't know what you're doing, this can be a bad thing because it can be harmful and dangerous and risky. But if you do know what you're doing, then it can be hugely beneficial and advantageous. Also, unlike therapists, coaches don't diagnose anything. They aren't considered a healthcare professional. But I actually like this about coaching. If you follow Amanda Francis, she was in ministry and studying, I think it was her counseling PhD. And when she learned at the time that she could become a life coach without having to do an official degree and pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, she dropped out. She started her life coaching business because she's like, why would I dedicate 4 more years of my life to this when I could just get started now and make an income and impact lives? And now she's a self-made millionaire through her own coaching business. Like, that is incredible. The other tip I want to say is take your time building your business. Give it time, be patient, but keep working at it, right? You're not going to necessarily become an overnight success instantly as soon as you decide to be a life coach. It can take time. Most people need to invest time and energy into their business to get it going. But that process will be accelerated if you do have someone that keeps you accountable, whether it's a mentor through your coaching college, whether it's your own business coach or personal coach. Make sure that you have someone on your side, a cheerleader, someone that's supporting you and guiding you because they know what the steps are ahead for you. You don't know yet, right? Otherwise, if you're just doing it yourself, you end up floundering. It's like the blind leading the blind. You're trying to self-coach, but once again, you're not a master at it yet. You're a beginner. So you need to have someone that's further ahead on the journey than you are. The other thing is you don't have to wait until you've officially finished your course and got that piece of paper to start building your brand or start building your business or start side hustling or start helping people, start influencing people in a positive way. And the other thing as well is pro bono clients. Do you do it? Do you not do it? Once again, personal choice. So I did a bit of pro bono work. I think I had 10 hours before I signed up with my own business coach. And now I've got I think over 200, if not more hours. I've got to count it. I haven't gotten around to it lately. But if I hadn't have actually had my one-to-one coach, my hours would not be that high by any means, by any means. I would have probably just done the essential 30 hours to get my course done. And that probably would have been it. And then I would have been like, oh my gosh, I'm on my own now. What do? I don't know what to do from here. Or I would have put all this effort and time and focus and money into my business and then not got anywhere, because I was leading myself and I didn't have someone leading the journey ahead for me. So basically, as a recap, there are 3 options for you to proceed from here. You can either get certified through the ICF or a training facility that's affiliated with them so you can get that official credentialing. Second option is getting trained through your own coach or business coach or whoever it is that you want to hire who does know what they're doing, who has got the results, who are ahead of you, that can help you on an individualized and personalized level because everyone's business looks so different. Or 3, you cannot get training, you cannot get experience or skill, you cannot hire your own coach or not go through a training program. And I really do consider this one to be the riskiest one, so I do advise against it. I really think it's important to have some idea of what you're doing because you are dealing with human emotions, belief systems, and all that and the other. And I just want to leave you with this. I found some quotes because the life coaching path isn't, it's the minority that walk along this journey. It's not the masses. If the masses did it, everyone would know what a life coach is, what they do, how it all works, but most people don't, right? So I just want to leave this with you. There's 3 quotes I want to tell you. The first one is, normality is a paved road. It's comfortable to walk, but no flowers grow from it. And that's from Vincent van Gogh. So think about that one. The second quote is, the road less traveled is built of notions and dreams, not concrete, stone, or dirt, by Paddy Dawn. And the third quote is, 2 roads diverged in a wood and I took the one less traveled, and that made all the difference, by Robert Frost. And I love that quote. It's actually one of my favorites. Oh, there's actually a 4th quote because I've got them written down here. I'm such a quote person. I'm a quote queen. The 4th one is, join the 3%. When everybody is doing this, you must do that. When everybody is zigging, you must zag. And that's by Michael Rodd. So just to recap, the show notes are going to include the ICF website, also my old YouTube video if you want to check that out. It's pretty funny how certain I was back then, and it's pretty interesting how you can change your mind as time goes on with experience. And the second thing is, feel free to send me your audio questions about podcasting, coaching, or entrepreneurialism to be featured on here. And lastly, I just want to say I'm so excited for you. Let this beautiful journey unfold ahead of you. If you're feeling like life coaching is for you, then good on you. Follow your heart, follow your gut, and your mind will catch up. All right, I'll see you guys in the next episode.
Well, thanks for the information. I'll look into your podcast and your Facebook group page as well, and just kind of see what new exciting stuff is coming out, right? So yeah, just thanks for everything that you do. You're definitely really inspiring and you're making a huge difference in a lot of people's lives. So I would love to follow in your footsteps one day.
Thank you so much for tuning in and for spending this beautiful time together on the Slaying Your Side Hustle podcast. I am so glad that you stopped by, and if you want to stop by again, then hit the subscribe button for future episodes. For more beyond this podcast, you can email me at oliviapowercoaching@gmail.com, or you can even send me a Facebook DM telling me what you thought and what you'd like to hear more of. Feel free to hang out with me on Instagram, tag me, or share my stuff on your stories, whatever you like. If you could just take 1 second to share this episode with someone who would love it, then that would truly be amazing, and this would continue to contribute to the greater good by spreading the love to thousands and thousands of like-minded entrepreneurial and business women around the globe. Isn't that a cool thought? I think so too. See you in the next episode.